When it comes to prayer in Islam, purity is absolutely key. But let's be honest, figuring out exactly how to clean different impurities can get, well, tricky. So in this explainer, we're going to break it all down into a super simple, logical system that you can use every single time.
So, have you ever felt just a little bit lost in the details? What's impure? How do I clean it? If so, you are definitely not alone. It can feel really complex, but the good news is there's actually a clear framework behind it all. Stick with me, and I promise you'll see how it all just clicks.
All right, let's dive right in. I think the best way to approach this is to think of it like a puzzle. At first glance, it might look like a jumble of pieces, right? But once you understand the core concepts, the whole picture just becomes crystal clear. And it all starts with one key idea.
And here's that big idea. This is not some random long list of rules you have to memorize. No way. It's actually a beautifully simple system that's built on just 3 clear categories. Get a handle on these 3 categories, and you've basically cracked the code. It's that simple.
Okay, so what are these 3 types? The whole system, literally everything we're about to talk about, hinges on being able to identify if an impurity is heavy, moderate, or light. So let's break them down.
And this table honestly lays it out perfectly. So you've got heavy impurity on one end of the spectrum. This is super specific. It's only for things from dogs and pigs, like dog saliva. Then way on the other end, you have light impurity. Again, very specific. We're only talking about the urine of a baby boy who's under 2 and only drinks milk. And then right there in the middle, you have moderate impurity. Think of this as the big catch-all category for pretty much everything else, common stuff like blood, vomit, or regular urine. See, it's not random, it's a logical spectrum. Okay, so identifying the type of impurity, that's step 1. Check. Step 2 is all about knowing the right cleaning method for each type. So let's jump into our practical cleaning checklist, and we'll start with the most intensive one first. All right, first up, cleaning a heavy impurity. And just like the name suggests, the cleaning method here is the most thorough. It has a very specific procedure you've got to follow. So the process for a heavy impurity is a really precise 3-step method. First, you got to remove the physical stuff. Simple enough, right? Then you're going to wash that spot 7 times with pure water. And here's the part that's really unique. One of those 7 washes has to have earth mixed in with the water. That's the key. Okay, now let's talk about method 2. Cleaning moderate impurities. And remember, this is that big catch-all category, so honestly, this is the one you're probably going to encounter the most often. And what I think is so brilliant about this is just how practical and adaptive the rule is. It all comes down to one simple question. Is there a trace? If you can see it, smell it, or, well, taste it, then you just keep washing until all those traces are completely gone. But what if it's dried up and there's no trace left? The rule gets way simpler. You just let water flow over the area once, and that's it. It's purified. And that brings us to our final method, cleaning a light impurity. And yeah, as you can probably guess, this one is the most straightforward of them all. It's a super simple 2-step process. So, for that very specific case of a milk-fed baby boy's urine, all you do is remove the impurity itself, and then you just sprinkle the area with enough water to cover it. That's it. Notice there's no scrubbing, no intense washing needed at all. All right, so we've covered the theory, right? The 3 types, the 3 cleaning methods. Now, let's put it into practice. We're going to run through a few really common questions to make sure this all clicks into place.
Okay, this is a classic scenario. Let's say you're out for a walk, a friendly dog comes up and licks your hand. What do?
Okay, let's apply the framework we just learned. Dog saliva. Which category does that fall into? That's right, heavy impurity. And what's the cleaning method for that? You got it. Wash it 7 times, and one of those washes has to include earth. See? It's a direct application of the rules. All right, here's another one that's super common, especially for anyone with little kids. A baby boy has an accident on your clothes or the carpet. What's the move? Now, this is a great example of where the details really matter. First, you've got to ask yourself 2 questions. Is he under 2 years old? And is he only milk-fed? If the answer is yes to both, boom, it's a light impurity, and you just do the simple sprinkle method. But if the answer is no to either of those, then it defaults to being a moderate impurity, and you follow that cleaning method instead. Okay, let's do one last common scenario. What about those invisible impurities we mentioned earlier? Something might have dried on a surface, but there's no stain, no smell, nothing. How do you make sure it's pure? Well, we just go right back to our framework. We know it's not from a dog or a pig, so it's not heavy. And it's definitely not the specific case of a light impurity. So by process of elimination, it has to be a moderate impurity. And what's the rule for a moderate impurity when there's no trace? It's that simple one. Just let water flow over the area once, and it's considered pure. Done.
So we've nailed down the practical side of things, which is great. But there's actually a much deeper wisdom here. These guidelines on physical cleanliness, they're also here to teach us some really valuable lessons about our character and our spiritual life. When you think about it, these rules really offer three powerful life lessons. First, they teach us to be clear and careful. I mean, if we know the rules, we can avoid mistakes in our worship, which is so important. Second, it's about taking responsibility. Properly cleaning shows discipline and care, not just in worship, but in everything. And finally, it's a reminder to act with intention. When our actions are sincere, even something as simple as cleaning becomes a way to please God and to build our own character.
All right, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. It's a beautiful idea that really ties all of this together. This amazing prayer just says it all, doesn't it? Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just about physical cleanliness. It's about purifying our entire being, our hearts, our bodies, and our worship, making them all clean so we can connect with God in the purest way possible.